Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. For decades, we kind of thought we had our metabolism all figured out, right? Well, scratch that. A massive wave of modern science from just the last couple of years has completely rewritten the rulebook on our metabolic health. Today, we're diving into a biological mystery that affects almost all of us. And more importantly, we're going to explore a multi-targeted way to solve it. Okay, let's dive into this. So, when you hear the term insulin resistance, your mind probably jumps straight to high blood sugar or maybe type 2 diabetes. And I mean, that makes sense. That's the classic view. But what if insulin resistance isn't actually just a blood sugar problem at all? What if we've literally been staring at the symptom while completely missing this huge systemic disruption that's affected our gut, our liver, our immune system, and even our brain? So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll debunk the blood sugar myth. Then we'll look at the loss of metabolic flexibility. Next, we'll map out the systemic crisis, identify the 8 biological pillars, and finally explore the insul-balance 3x biotics approach. All right, Section 1, the blood sugar myth debunked. Time for a paradigm shift. So the old school classic paradigm gave us this really simple story, right? You gain weight, your blood sugar goes up, and eventually, bam, you get insulin resistance. But breakthrough research between 2024 and 2026 flipped this entirely on its head. The new paradigm shows us that high insulin, what we call hyperinsulinemia, is actually the hidden engine driving the whole disease. Our cells lose their metabolic sensitivity because they're just constantly being bombarded by insulin. It's a total systemic disruption. And honestly, this explains exactly why even perfectly lean people can develop severe insulin resistance while some overweight folks stay completely metabolically healthy. Wild, right? Now, what's really interesting here is the massive time gap. We're talking about a 10 to 20-year window before type 2 diabetes is even detected. For a whole decade or two, your body might be pumping out absolute truckloads of insulin, yet routine blood sugar tests, they look perfectly normal. But beneath the surface, during the silent phase, that hyperinsulinemia is already forcing your liver to hoard fat, blocking fat breakdown, and triggering chronic inflammation. Moving on to Section 2. Loss of metabolic flexibility, when the engine seizes up. To really get why things break down, we gotta look at how the system is actually supposed to run. Enter metabolic flexibility. This is basically our body's beautiful, natural ability to shift gears. Think of it kind of like a highly advanced hybrid car. Depending on whether you're eating, fasting, working out, or just chilling on the couch, a healthy body effortlessly switches between burning glucose, fatty acids, ketones, and amino acids. It just adapts instantly to whatever you need. But here's the kicker. Insulin resistance absolutely destroys that beautiful shifting of gears. The body completely loses its metabolic sensitivity and becomes super rigid, hopelessly dependent on crazy high insulin levels just to keep the lights on. And this biological rigidity leads straight to a buildup of visceral fat. Worse, it causes our mitochondria, the little powerhouses of our cells, to just stop functioning correctly. This severe loss of flexibility, that is the absolute defining characteristic of modern metabolic syndrome. Which brings us to Section 3, a systemic crisis, moving well beyond the pancreas. This biological web really shows you just how far-reaching the damage truly is. It's not just about blood sugar. In the liver, insulin resistance drives up fat production, which leads straight to metabolic liver disease. In the brain, the signaling breaks down so badly that Alzheimer's is literally being researched right now as type 3 diabetes. No way, right? It also degrades the vascular system, speeding up atherosclerosis. And our adipose tissue, our fat cells, they swell up and start secreting massive amounts of inflammatory chemicals. So all of this chaos converges into a massive problem we call meta-inflammation. Now, this isn't like the acute swelling you get when you sprain your ankle. It's more like this persistent, low-grade fire just simmering inside the body, constantly being fueled by those swollen fat cells and toxins literally leaking from your gut. And so the crucial point is this. This inflammation actively blocks your insulin receptors. It creates this nasty, vicious cycle that makes restoring your metabolic sensitivity even harder. All right, let's get into Section 4, the 8 biological pillars, the network of dysfunction. Modern science actually maps this whole dysfunction across 8 major biological nodes. Let's look at the first 4. It all kicks off with Pillar 1, chronic hyperinsulinemia. That excess insulin then drives Pillar 2, adipocyte hypertrophy, which is just a fancy way of saying your dangerous visceral fat cells physically swell up. That swelling triggers Pillar 3, the low-grade metabolic inflammation we literally just talked about. And that inflammation ultimately forces Pillar 4, hepatic insulin resistance and a fatty liver.
And the cascade just keeps going seamlessly into Pillar 5, gut dysbiosis, which allows toxins to slip right into your bloodstream. This toxemia stresses out your cells, leading to Pillar 6, mitochondrial dysfunction. Meanwhile, Pillar 7 is messing with our satiety signals, meaning your brain literally forgets how to feel full. Actually, scratch that. It's more like it actively ignores the full signals. All of this culminates in Pillar 8, the total loss of metabolic flexibility. This brilliantly illustrates how no single pillar operates in isolation. They all amplify each other into one devastating network.
Finally, Section 5, the InsuBalance 3x Biotics approach, building a multi-target matrix.
Okay, so this is where this incredibly complex problem finally meets a truly comprehensive solution. InsuBalance 3x Biotics is this multi-target intervention, and it's specifically designed to simultaneously act upon all 8 of those biological nodes we just covered. Because think about it, trying to artificially force your blood sugar down without fixing the gut, the liver, and the mitochondria, it's just a losing battle. This 3x Biotics approach is designed from the ground up to restore metabolic sensitivity across the entire network. Let's move to and see how this builds, because it's pretty cool how this ingredient matrix perfectly maps to the dysfunction. Berberine steps in and activates cellular energy sensors to target that excess insulin in liver fat. Fermented curcuma jumps in to shut down the systemic meta-inflammation. The SCOBY ferment goes to work on gut balance and metabolic flexibility. And botanicals like yerba mate and gymnema, they're actively reducing sugar cravings and shrinking that swollen visceral fat. Now, one mechanism here is absolutely fascinating, and that's the SCOB, fermented polyfloral pollen. It's not just some basic probiotic. First, it corrects gut imbalances, and second, it stops that toxic leakage we talked about. But the real magic? That happens in steps 3 and 4. The fermentation actually generates spermidine, which triggers cellular autophagy. That means it literally forces your cells to clean out the damaged parts and recycle them. Plus, it supports the clodoprotein, which is a super famous marker for longevity. It's like a deep clean for your biology. So when you put this all together, the real goal of InsuBalance 3x Biotics isn't just slapping a Band-Aid on a symptom or chasing a blood sugar number. It's about fundamentally restoring your metabolic flexibility and insulin sensitivity. You're healing the entire network. You're achieving long-term cellular health and regenerating the body literally from the inside out. As the recent medical literature so powerfully states, identifying and correcting insulin resistance early represents a fundamental strategy of prevention and metabolic medicine. This is absolutely crucial, guys. It's a life-altering shift in how we think about our bodies. By intercepting this 8-pillar network early, before the cascade fully locks in, we are actively protecting our liver, our heart, and our brain from the ravages of modern chronic disease. So, I want to leave you with a final, kind of provocative thought to take away from this explainer today. Are you simply treating a number on a blood test? Or are you ready to restore your entire metabolic network for true longevity? The science is super clear, the 8 pillars are mapped out, and the solution totally requires a systemic approach. Thanks so much for diving into the mechanics of metabolic health with me today. Keep asking the right questions and keep learning.